Welcome back, everybody, to Future Proofing You Book Club. This is on chapter 12, which is titled Remote Workers Are Your New Competitive Advantage. The quote is, "To win in the marketplace, you must first win in the workplace." That's from Doug Conan, co-author of Touchpoints. Now, this chapter doesn't have it has a little story, like a tiny story, or kind of, where it talks about Buck's restaurant and why it's famous. And it's not famous for what's inside of the restaurant. It's famous for what happened in the restaurant. Now, meaning like, not about the menu, not about what they serve, not about that, but about what took place in the restaurant. And it's pretty much where people would go on meetings with venture capitalists there at that restaurant. So it says, many startups without offices of their own had some of their earliest meetings at Buck's. Hotmail, Netscape, PayPal, Tesla, and many others met with VCs here. So large is the fabled status of this restaurant that venture capitalist Bill Draper begins his book, The Startup Game, inside the partnership between venture capitalists and entrepreneurs. That's what the chapter titled Breakfast at Buck's. So why does it mention this? It mentions this because, as the quote says, right, it starts with what happens in your workplace. So this chapter is focused on remote workers. So truth number 12, the final truth is remote workers are your new competitive advantage. Now, the great thing about a competitive advantage, right, it just kind of goes to show you, like, this is what you have ahead of others. If you're able to make this work, you have this ahead of others. And this chapter talks about the benefits of employees working from home, the 5 techniques for managing remote workers, and that's it, pretty much it. So the benefits of employees working from home, well, goes into kind of just explaining how people feel more alive, meaning they feel more at ease than having to drive to work, having to stay in traffic, having to leave their home to go to another place. Now, with the comfort of being at their home, they could work, and instead of going out of their house to go to work, they could go out of their house to do other things that benefits them, that it's much more interesting than just being stuck in traffic. Now imagine that hour, 30 minutes, 20 minutes, 45 minutes, 2 hours stuck in traffic to going to zero, less gas money, you're still paying for insurance, but less risk of a car accident because you're working from home. Those are benefits to employees. A lot of employees who don't want to spend much more in gas or don't want to take that risk, well, if they're able to work remote, then they don't need to worry about that. So it goes into 5 techniques. So number 1 for managing remote workers. Number 1 is trust and transparencies. If you hire people that you trust, then trust the people you hire. If you find yourself micromanaging employees, then you hired the wrong people. Now, when you're able to trust your employees, I guarantee you when it comes to delegating work, that's easy, right? Let's just say you have 20 tasks to do, but you trust your team to get it good and done just as you, then you're gonna delegate your work to them. Now, if you don't have the opportunity, the possibility of delegating your work, it means you have the wrong people working for you. And when you have the wrong people working for you, it's just not good for you. Imagine working for somebody you don't trust, right? Number 2, create shared values. Whenever possible, instill a sense of shared purpose in your team. The more mission-driven the company, the more sharing and collaboration will grow among team members. So it's all about team building. You got to build your team, because a functioning team is going to get things done. A wonky team, an out-of-place team, one where there's just so much hostility, so much anger towards each other, nothing's going to get done. It's obvious. It's common sense. It's obvious. I won't use that word, common sense, but it's obvious, right? That you don't need to believe in the same thing, but you guys just got to build those values within yourselves to be unstoppable, to be untouched. So number 3, Work on your emotional intelligence. So much of our normal workplace communication is nonverbal. When you go to an office every day, you can tell just by looking at someone how their day is going. But now, because you're behind the screen, you got to learn that skill. You have to be able to be considerate with other people's time zones, with holidays people celebrate, like these type of things you need to take into consideration when you are hiring remote workers. As you're working in that workplace, not to use against them, but to understand when to get to them, when not to get to them, and how things will be done. That's why like trust goes into there. Like they might not celebrate the same holidays as you. You might work one day, they might not work that day. But just to know you have that trust with them, you understand that they're still gonna get the work done. Number 4, promote a healthy work-life balance. Most of the time, if you're stuck at home, right, working from home, then you feel the need to touch your stuff, to touch your workplace, and to maybe get ahead. But the point about being remote is to get you to understand that you need to balance and live a healthy work-life balance. When you're living your life and doing the things you want to do, and you separate it from work, then you'll be able to be comfortable in your home. But if you're working every single minute you have just because you can work from home, then you're gonna begin to hate the feeling of being at home. And how are you gonna sleep at night when you can't stand sleeping at night because all you could think about is work? So that's why you need to promote a healthy work-life balance. And number 5, invest in remote management tools. With thousands of dollars a month, remote workers are saving you in office overhead. It is critical to invest in some of the savings in remote management. There are project-oriented tools for collaborations, workflow automation, and content management. There are managerial tools for time tracking, productivity analysis, and time zone converting schedulers. Cloud storage and shared drives can be leveraged to utilize their robust security systems, and password managers can track access to shared software licenses and apps. Virtual private networks, virtual call centers, and conferencing calling softwares can help you track and memorialize meetings. There is even software for onboarding or new hires and processing freelancer invoices. There are 2 tools that I find invaluable with remote teams. Crisp is a noise cancellation app that works with Zoom, Slack, and most of the other communication platforms. Meetings are more enjoyable and productive when background noise is eliminated from every caller. Giving honest feedback is often a challenge when managing remotely. Chimp is an anonymous weekly employee happiness meter. You can't improve morale if you don't know what the problem is. For all of the many advantages of building a virtual company, there are some risks. For first-time remote workers, there's a period of adjustment. By having one's company promote a healthy work-life balance, most remote workers find that they would prefer to never go back to a 9-to-5 office again. Then it goes back a little bit about Vin, the experiment, who finally hit his 1 million. He exceeded it, took a lot of time away from his family. It just took so much from him to get to that. So it wasn't easy for Vin. But a lot of it that helped him wasn't the multiple streams of income he's had, but it was really from the remote workers he had working for him, because he was able to delegate a lot of his other tasks that helped him become successful. But those are the 12 truths, and that's all 12. So that's it. There's a part 2 of future-proofing your business, which 13, 14, and 15, and I'll do videos on those, but that's it. That's it of chapter 12. Basically the end of the summary. Like this book club, we're almost done with this book. The next book is next. This is Future Proofing You by Jay Samit. That's it. Join the book club, subscribe. There's gonna be a link in the description bio for you to buy your book if you haven't bought your book. But if not, thank you for watching this book club.